I actually don't care how it was solved.
No.
But did you solve it?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Here's your money. You
Yeah.
can't just be completely process focused.
No.
You have to know that you're dealing with someone who just wants the job done.
But if we can get them to bridge that gap between process and outcome so that when they are on the job, in the field, in the home, in the business, whatever it might be, they're actually thinking about the outcome. It would be like having blinkers on and just suddenly, maybe not taking them off completely, but just widening them a little bit.
Just opening it up.
Just broadening the lens a little bit.
If their job is good and the outcome is what the client wanted, then they're more than likely to say yes to the upgrade or the next service or referring or whatever it is you're trying to get out of it, essentially.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Mastermind for Business podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you need to focus less on process and more on outcomes, and what the role of a leader is, and how if you get your team to focus on that, it'll make your life so much easier. Let's get that underway right now.
If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Right, welcome to the latest edition, and joining me in the chair as always, not as always, but back is Nick. Here he is, back in the chair, mate. Good to have you back.
Oh, I know. Thank you.
What I wanted to do in this episode was talk about some of the things that have come up. You know, in our mastermind program, we run game plan sessions with all of our clients, but we have a thing that we call an unstick call, where any of our members can call in at any time and they can grab Caroline or myself and have an unstick call. It's around something that's really just bothering them at the moment. And we had one of these the other day where I had one of our clients was saying, listen, I can't get my team who provides services out in a B2B fashion. I can't get them to generate more business. And how do I get them to talk to the businesses they're currently providing service to get more work from them? Or how do I get them to actually try and just sell our services? And one of the things that I realized is that they were getting their team, their service providers, to focus on the process.
Right.
So it's really hard, I think, to sell somebody a process.
Oh, extremely hard, right?
Right, because nobody wants to buy a process. And we talk about this all the time, and I think the example I often use is a mortgage. But you bought a new car recently, right? If somebody had said to you, listen, here's what I want you to do. I want you to come to the dealership and we're going to get you to fill out 15 pieces of paper, and then we're going to get you online and fill out some ID stuff, and then you would have run a million miles.
All the way down to the shake your hands and give you the keys, right?
Right. Instead, what they said was, hey, come into the dealership. It'll take us about an hour or so, and you'll be driving away in your nice new car.
Mate, sounds fantastic.
Right. So you said they sold the outcome.
Yeah.
And I just think sometimes particularly in I guess again B2B, but B2C as well, we can sometimes get so caught up on the process that we forget that what we really need to do is to sell the outcome.
Yeah, you sort of get blinded by it a bit, don't you? I think common sense sort of goes out the window a little bit, and maybe we look at things a little too analytically when we're focusing so heavily on the steps of the process and how we need to pull them off, rather than being, like you said, outcome centric.
Yeah, well, I reckon that you can almost end up with sort of blinkers. Like if you think about, there's a process. Let's talk about car sales, right? So if a car salesperson, if they went into every conversation with a prospect going, okay, so here's the process, Mr. Customer, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then I'm going to get my sales manager over to try and convince you. And do you know, like this whole step-by-step process, like it's never going to work.
No, I don't think anyone would be interested in doing that. And it's also, it's like anything, right? Like what you want is the end goal. Well, that's what the focus should always be. And that's what we talk about when we're creating videos or doing things for social media, is that, we should be focusing on what the outcome or the end result is for them, because that's really what they want to hear about. That's really what they want to see more of.
So one of the things that we talk a lot about is the fact that you should be focusing on the transformation. So it's not the product, it's the transformation the product brings. And the example often is, you don't go to Bunnings to buy a 1/4-inch drill bit. You go to Bunnings to buy the hole in the wall that you can hang the hook on, that you can hang the painting. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to learn about how someone went through each step and how they solved your problem. They just want to know that the problem is solved.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the outcome that's key.
So I think if you've got a team, as these guys do, if you've got a team and you'd say to your team, listen, if you are out in the field talking to customers, again, whether it's B2B or B2C, it's probably more relevant in B2B. But if you've got customers, if you've got a team that's out talking to your customers in the field, and you say to them, listen, while you're out there, I want you to identify opportunities. If all they are focused on is the process, then they're probably going to have blinkers on to opportunities.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the times when, and even within sales, you see it a lot when people are focused on the process or how they do things, is they talk about themselves a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talking about, this is how we do things. This is what we do then. This is what we're doing now. There's a lot of me, a lot of self language.
Yep.
And I think that's a real trap, because no one wants to sit there and listen to you talk about yourself for that long, right? So especially when someone doesn't know you, or if you're cold calling type of sales, they're not going to give you the time of day if you're just going to stand there and talk about yourself.
Well, it gets down to that 6-step sales process that we teach in Mastermind, where we say, if you're looking to sell something, if you're looking to close the deal, what you want to do is you go through this 6-step process. It's problem, prescription, promise, model, logistics, and price. So it's about saying, and we've spoken about this in episodes previously, but it's about saying, hey, what's the problem that they've got? What's the prescription they need? What's the promise you can make them? What's the model you use to achieve that desired outcome? What are the logistics and what it's going to cost? And what you're saying really is that a lot of people get that so screwed up wrong way round. They start talking about the logistics first.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
And if you start talking to me about logistics on solving a problem for me, I'm just going to glaze over.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, right, people just want the problem solved.
Yeah.
They actually don't care how it was solved.
No.
But did you solve it?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Here's your money.
Professionally, ethically, quality.
Right? As long as it's done and that they've achieved the result that they were after, a lot of the times I don't think they necessarily care. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be people who are thrilled to hear about your logistics and how you do things. And when the time is right, you're going to have that time. But it's about knowing when to pick and choose, when to be talking about that sort of stuff. And that's sales 101, right? Is to not be going in hard and heavy with the technical aspects of some things if you're not dealing with an overly technical person. Know your audience. But
know your audience is what I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, you have to know and have the ability to be able to swap between those. You can't just be completely process focused.
No.
You have to know that you're dealing with someone who just wants the job done.
Yeah, that's right. And I think if you're looking to sell to someone, then you have to think about that outcome process. But if you've got people out there and you're saying, listen, I want you to look for opportunities. And I'll give you an example, Nick. So many years ago, we did a lot of work with the pool shop industry, right?
Yes.
So we coached a wide range of pool shops around the country. And one of the things we used to say to pool shops is they're going out and servicing pools. And so we used to say, you need to get your service guys to look for opportunities. Now, if what they focus on, and I think this is a very good B2C example, if when they go out to service a pool, if what they focus on is, my job is to test the water, balance the water, clean the filter, and make sure that the bottom of the pool is clean, they're never going to see the opportunities that exist, as opposed to someone who goes, all right, my job is to make this pool and environment a great place for the owners to spend time. So, for example, what we used to say is you need to go and have a look. Like if you go out and you're servicing a pool and you see there's a skimmer there and it's got a big hole in it, there's an opportunity to make a recommendation to sell a new skimmer, the filter's cracked or the basket's broken or whatever it might be. Here's an opportunity for you to go, hey, by the way, this is something that you need. And we added, countless amounts of revenue legitimately and ethically into those businesses by teaching their service teams to look for those opportunities.
Yep. Yeah. When people go out and they're quoting, or they're not necessarily salesmen.
Yep.
You know, I used to work for a pest control business, and it was the same sort of thing.
Yep.
The techs would have to go out, and they would do the job, and then after they'd be like, "Hey, noticed, you know, you've got this. Maybe you want to upgrade to this." So it might not be their natural skill.
Yeah.
But where they have the advantage compared to a salesman is that they have already built the trust.
Yeah, they're on the other side of that moat.
Yeah, they've been accepted into the home.
They're inside the castle.
And if their job is good and the outcome is what the client wanted, then they're more than likely to say yes to the upgrade or the next service or referring or whatever it is you're trying to get out of them, essentially.
It's actually a really good point you make, because if I go back to the pool shop thing, we realise that the guys and girls going out doing pool shop servicing, you know, they're not salespeople. They're not sales-minded. That's why they're not working in the shops. If we had said to them, your job is to go sell this stuff, they would run a mile. But instead, if we said, let's look at focusing on the outcome, why does somebody have you come out and look after their pool? It's because of the outcome that they want to achieve.
Yep.
How can you help them to achieve that, to optimize that outcome? And so I just think, even if we go back to like a B2B environment, and you gave a really good example, if somebody is a technician, a technical-minded person, getting them to think about selling is really hard.
Extremely hard.
Because they are, by their very nature, focused on process.
100%. It's all they know.
Correct.
It's all they ever know. And to get that right is how they achieve the outcome, right?
Yeah.
And if they weren't heavily focused on the process, then they wouldn't be as good as they are at their job.
No.
So that is their job. Their job isn't to sell. So yeah, that's why it doesn't necessarily come natural to them, because that's not what they know. It's not what they've been told, right?
So that's right. But if we can get them to bridge that gap between process and outcome, so that when they are on the job, in the field, in the home, in the business, whatever it might be, they're actually thinking about the outcome.
Yep.
Then I think it's, you know, it would be like having blinkers on and just suddenly, maybe not taking them off completely, but just widening them a little bit.
Just opening it up a
just
little bit.
broadening the lens a little bit.
100%.
And giving them the opportunity to see that. I guess in your world, in the world of video, it would be the same. So I was in the office of Metropole in Sydney last week, and I know you'd been there the week before and you'd shot a whole bunch of videos with the guys there. But I got really, really positive feedback about the work that you'd done. And the biggest feedback I got was, Nick just makes me feel so comfortable. Like I was shitting myself about being on camera, but Nick just made me feel so comfortable and we had so much fun doing it.
Yep.
But if you had gone in and discussed with them, okay, guys, here's the process, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, you'd just heighten that anxiety rather than take it away, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and how can you get the best situation or the best outcome if you are, I guess, overly focused on and explaining each step by step what's got to be done, what the end result has got to look like. You know what I mean? It's just making it a harder process. They're only going to feel more stressed out.
They already had anxiety about it, right? And so I think if you'd come in and gone, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this and this and this and this and this. Every this just increases the anxiety level because it's like layering, in a 100%. Negative sense.
Yeah, 100%.
But instead, the feedback I got was, you know what? I was really nervous about it, but it just felt... Yeah, it just felt so natural.
Well, I guess one thing I try and focus on is even if it is extremely important.
Yep.
And most of the times it is, right? And a lot of the times when we are doing this sort of stuff, it is important because we're putting ourselves out there, and sometimes to quite a large audience.
Yep.
And how we are perceived and the first impression we make and all that sort of stuff, it is important stuff. Like it's I'm not, but there's no sense, you don't get anything out of anyone by making them feel that way.
Yeah.
So making them feel more at ease, you're more likely to get a better result. So what I'm trying to say is, even if it is something that's really, really, I guess, important, I stress that it's not.
Yeah.
We're just really chill. We're just here to relax and have a good time. And what we're going to do is let me worry about the process.
Yep.
I'll look after that for you. What I want you to do is just enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And in some ways, that's sort of looking at the outcome as well, because what's got to come across in the video content for you is that they are actually enjoying themselves and they feel relaxed about it.
Yeah, they can't be robotic and nervous and unauthentic. So I think putting people at ease and making them feel like it's not as big of a deal as what you think, even if it is.
Yeah, cool. And you know what? And one of the things that we talk about a lot within Mastermind and also within the Metropole team is that we're not paramedics, we're not emergency physicians. So even if it's important, it's not life threatening.
No,
if we don't get it quite right, no one's going to die, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I say. It's just a video.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just a video.
Yeah.
And we're not saving the world or anything. So
I remember doing that presentation from stage once at Wealth Retreat and I said, look, if we don't get things quite right, no one's going to die. And a guy came up to me later and went, look, I agree with you, but I actually am an emergency physician. So in my world,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a good point. So we spoke about video. Listen, you know what? Shameless plug, because what I've said, the feedback is that people got great value out of you because you made them feel so comfortable. So you're not just a videographer.
No, I don't think so. I think, dealing with people and getting the authentic reaction from people and talking with people and getting stories from people is probably more so up my alley, more my skill set.
So I always say to people, you're more of a video director than you are a videographer.
Yeah.
And I know you are a member of the Directors Guild, and I know you feel a little bit humble about that, but that's okay. Shameless plug, one chance only.
Yep, creating content. So I guess, look, if you guys do want some video, we have some openings in the new year, and you can send me an email, nick@creatingcontent.com.au.
Right, CREEDON content.com.au and Nick at. Cool.
Yeah, I'll
Cool.
tell you. Thank you.
No, mate, my pleasure. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about in today's episode was this concept of the role of leadership. And it's something that sort of has come up for me a little bit recently. And what responsibility you have as a leader to shield your team from stress or bad news or difficult times. And I think, leading up into, because we're recording this as we're leading into Christmas, and there's no doubt this is a really hectic time, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But I think that as times get hectic, it's sometimes easy as a business owner or as a leader within a business to let that stress show to your team as well. And you're only human, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think in any situation like that, it's the same as a parent or same in a sporting situation, right? Like, I guess sometimes you have to just cop it yourself and not show it so that it doesn't affect those around you.
Yep.
But you're right. Sometimes you are human, and sometimes that is going to show through no matter how hard you try, right?
Yeah, I think what's really important there, Nick, is to have some kind of a support process in place. I mean, it's one of the things that we find with Mastermind, right? When people are feeling completely overwhelmed, overstressed, under the pump, whichever way you want to put it, they have the ability to reach out to us as their coaches, to other people within Mastermind. We have group sessions where they can sort of share that sort of stuff. But whether you're in a program, whether you've got a coach, whether you're in a mastermind, whatever, find yourself a tribe of some sort.
Yeah,
or a mentor or a friend or a...
That's why there's parents groups, and so people who are going through similar situations as you. I think that's important. I think if the problems that you're dealing with, you feel like they're all your own and you're carrying them on your own back, you need to find people who are dealing with similar problems.
Yep.
Because relative experiences and stuff is going to make you feel more at ease about your situation, and you're going to get ideas and ways to solve things that other people have already solved.
Yep. Oh, I think that's vitally important, and it is about shielding your team, because I think that if you don't shield your team, that kind of bad news, it can operate a little bit like a cancer in a business, right? It makes people nervous, And you could lose really good people by sharing things that you really didn't need to share. It reminds me of a story that was shared with me by an SAS patrol commander, and they were going into what was quite a very dangerous situation, and he was actually a little bit nervous about it. But he says, one of the young troopers said to him, "Hey, are we going to be okay?" And his answer was, "Okay, fuck yeah, we're the SAS."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you've got to be as a business owner or a leader. You've got to, do you know what? Of course we're okay.
Almost
we're
like
fine.
False confidence.
Well, it is, but I think it's really important. And you raised the point when we spoke about this off air. We're talking about, you're saying, it's a bit like parenting, that you don't need to share all of your stresses with your kids, but it's important that you have someone to share it with.
Yeah. I think mental health, especially, we think about it a lot more these days, and it's important to make sure that you're not just bottling it all up and that you are not just dealing it all with yourself, because it will catch up to you. It will catch up to you. But it's about picking the audience.
Yes.
And I think, like you said, that stuff can become really infectious really, really quickly.
Yep.
And to keep good morale on your team and anything, it's just, it's the same thing. It reminds me of like medieval times, where there was a hierarchy.
Yep.
Where the battle commander would know things that his soldiers wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. He would know that he would be sending them out to death.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't tell them that.
No.
And also the women and children in the crypt, they're all being told that they're going to be okay, even if they know that they're fucked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that there's, when you're in a position of leadership, it almost comes as not necessarily a burden, but a responsibility that those under you have to look after.
Yep.
And that's why I reference it to parenting, because it's your job as a parent to make sure that you shield your kids from harm and the stresses and stuff, that sort of stuff. I mean, you have to be realistic.
Sure.
At the end of the day, I mean, you can't hide the entire world from your team or from your kids or anything.
No.
But it's about picking and choosing to be able to keep morale up and not just unloading everything. I mean, I've worked for a couple of managers and stuff at times where just every little problem becomes your problem.
Yep.
And it's just the worst environment to be in.
Yep.
It feels toxic. You feel like you're part of a negative team almost.
Well, I think that's right. And I think the other thing too is, you look around in any situation, you look around for your leaders.
Yeah.
And you look for your leaders to lead and inspire.
Mm.
And if you as a leader or your leader is just sharing with you all of the negativity and bad stuff, then it's really because you're looking for them to provide the solutions. Now, sometimes you actually have to be a part of the solution. You can't always just go, not my problem, and that's up to the boss. But I just think there's this fine line between sharing with the team what's important and then shielding them from some of the stuff that could actually be really detrimental.
Yeah, 100%. I think, as much as it's important to have rapport with your team, it's important to know them as people and to be friends with them, right? Like they're going to be, you're going to work closely with them for a long time. You're going to be around them a lot.
Yep.
You have to know them. You have to understand how they work as people.
Yep.
But, I think sometimes people sort of draw the line a bit close where they become too friendly.
Yeah.
And that their problems then become the team's problems.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So, they have problems as a manager that the team wouldn't necessarily have.
Yep.
That should be on them to look after.
Yep.
But they then become the team's problems because they're friendly. And that's hard to manage, I can imagine. But you just have to know where to draw the line.
Yeah, you do. And I think that the same thing applies to talking negatively about, if you're in a B2B or B2C, talking negatively about your clients.
Yes.
See, it's one of the things that I've always been really adamant about is that you don't talk badly about a client. And there's a couple of reasons. One, it's just disrespectful if they're a client, they're paying you money.
Mm.
I remember working with a guy once, and he used to bag the living daylights out of the manager. And I remember just one day saying to him, "Do you know what, mate? If you hate him that much, stop taking his money."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you put your hand out every Friday and take his money. Like show some integrity.
Bite in the hand that feeds you.
Yeah, right. Like if you think this bloke is such a dick, stop working for him.
And I love people like that too. Is it like a lot of the times I've never told them that.
No. Or that's right. Or,
Go and tell him.
Get some testicular fortitude about you and actually go and have the conversation.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you never know. He might be like, oh, mate, sorry you didn't know you felt that way. You know what I mean? And you can talk it out.
100%. So I think that the first thing, you shouldn't talk badly about people because it just shows disrespect. That's the first thing. Yep. The second thing I think is that they may very well find out.
Oh, it always. Not may very well. Always comes to bite you on the ass.
And the third thing I think is if you keep saying, and I used to do this presentation from a stage quite a lot, but the more often you say a customer's a dickhead, the more likely you are ultimately to treat them like one.
Yes.
Do you know? It's like riding a motorbike, right? You've actually got to look where you're going, right? You've got to look where you're steering. If you keep looking at that client or that customer as a dickhead, you are going to treat them like one eventually.
Yeah, 100%.
So I just think, as leaders, we've got to be really careful about what we share with our team. I've got a rule within the Metropole group, within the leadership team, is if they've got a problem with a client or they've got a problem with somebody else in the business, they can come into my office and they can say whatever they want, right? There's no rules. You walk in and go, that client's a complete tosser. Yep. No issue. But you do not walk outside these four walls and have that conversation with anybody else.
Yeah.
So again, I think the two components about that is you've got to be careful about what you say, but you've also got to have a safe place that you can actually share that stuff.
You do, because like I said, you can't just bottle it up. It's not healthy. You need to have an outlet of some sort.
Yep.
And, for some people that's writing even. It doesn't necessarily have to be people. Nope. Sometimes it can be journaling.
Yep. It's a great point, actually. Getting it out on paper.
It out.
Yeah, massively.
Makes a big difference.
100%. Mate, we've run through a few things. So we've spoken about the importance of leadership and shielding your team, but also making sure that you've got the support you need to have. We've spoken about the importance of focusing on outcomes rather than processes, and particularly if you're looking to help your team to sell, particularly if you've got a team that is not a sales team, that they are a technical team. If you want them to sell, you've got them to focus on outcomes rather than the process. I reckon that's about it for this one.
It's been a good one.
Yeah, it has been a good one. Guys, these are the things that we talk to our clients about all the time, the things we help them with in our mastermind program, metropolimastermind.com.au. Love to have a chat to you and see how we can help you. In the meantime, please, whatever you do, make sure you spend time with those who matter most. We'll see you next episode of the Mastermind for Business podcast. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us on the Mastermind for Business podcast. If you're ready to have a business that you're not a slave to, check out metropolemastermind.com.au or have a chat with Mark and the team at all the W's, see what's possible.today.